Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Once again, it is time for my client Doug's vlog, and we started the week off with a normal classic bench press. He got 330 with a pause. Bench is coming back up. Again, keeping in mind, we had him up above 180, and then he did a very small water cut for his last meet. Then, of course, he quit counting calories. He lost like 10 pounds pretty quick, and so now I'm trying to get him to bring his weight back up. It's one of the issues we run into with Doug is an appetite issue. And of course, since he does lift, does do a little bit of cardio and things for his health, calories really become a struggle for him at times. And he's one of my few lifters who doesn't eat clean. He can't really afford to. He literally weighs out oftentimes when we're trying to gain any weight. He eats ice cream and stuff before bed, weighs it out on a scale to make sure he hits his target calories. Again, one of those lifters who just this happens. And I think one of the things I find frequently with a lot of my lifters is that energy turnover starts going way up really fast. And this can be one of the problems with the dietary approaches I ascribe to people along with their training. Because there's always a significant amount of metabolic fatigue here, but because I always push people to eat really high carbohydrate, people's metabolic rates and thermic effect tends to go up dramatically. And it happens. And a lot of people don't grasp that. This is one reason that's such a great approach, for lifters who want to make leaner gains and to stay leaner is to just not eat much dietary fat and just hammer carbohydrates down. Because, again, on the calories in, calories out equation, it tends to push those calories out. Your thermic effect goes up, your NEAT goes up, things like T3 to T4 conversion go up. It's people find very, very quickly with a lot of my lifters is that their maintenance calories go up 1,000, 1,500 calories, something like that in the first year. And it's definitely been something I've noticed. So people who struggle with weight gain, I have to watch that approach carefully, even though it might be kind of optimal. You have to be careful of it. And some of them have to eat higher fat just to avoid that. So Doug is one of those guys. He's always throwing a little bit of extra fat into the diet. And he gets pretty ripped pretty easily when he does want to, because he did a little bit of a cut a while back after we bulked and then bulked back up. And he got down leaner than he is now. He got quite lean quite quickly. And it's just the nature of the game. So for supplemental work, of course, you guys are seeing we're doing pause benching. We're doing a couple types of rows. We're doing both dumbbell rows and barbell rows. He's doing has been doing dumbbell extensions, but he's starting to find those were bothering his elbow just a hair. So he's gone over to doing a lying extension to where you go behind the head. He's using his football bar for that. And again, he's finding it easier on the elbows. And this is an issue, when we're dealing with a lot of tricep specialization, is that we have to be careful with our elbows. A lot of times there are movements that we rotate in not because they're better, but because they're just easier on the elbows. Stuff like those behind the head extensions like that, they're not better. I don't feel that they are at all. I think a skull crusher is superior. But it relieves some of that stress on the tendon. Also, one of the things that Doug does a lot, we do these lying leg curls. So why? Why does he do these with bands? He has a long history of tricep injuries, then also, which of course contributes to low back weakness. The only reason his deadlift lags behind, his squatting and benching. His bench is his best lift, then it's squat, and then deadlift way behind. He's had a lot of posterior chain weakness. I've had a lot of luck healing that, but we've also run into still having some hamstring injuries, not as many as he had. It's not as been severe as he had before he came on as a client, but it's still been present. So it's just, this has been one of my solutions to knock that out. We simply don't do movements that put him into a prone position that he has a history of injury on. And I make him do this band work to build work capacity, build tendons, all this stuff in his hamstring tendons. And it's helped tremendously. And it's helping. I think it's going to get him to that 500 deadlift safely. Granted, he tends to squat almost as much as he deadlifts. He tends to be real close. We accept that. It's like less than a 10% gap usually between them. And then, of course, he can bench. Right? That 330 bench is not his best. That's kind of building up after some unexpected weight loss. He's benched over 350 in competition at this point, meet legal in the 181, and weighing in like 178 for it. Because even then, I think what happened with his last meet, he was just going to do a real mild water cut to drop 2 or 3 pounds. He ended up dropping like 7 by accident. And that happens. It happens really easily for some people, right? Like we didn't do, hey, we're going to do this multi-day thing. We just did a quick last minute, let's adjust the night before just to make sure you make weight, right? Very, very mild. And he ended up dropping a lot more weight than we anticipated. Again, nature of the game. All right, and of course he did a deficit deadlift for the max effort. All right, I didn't get any dynamic effort footage from him for upper this week, but for lower, he of course does his safety squat bar speed boxes. We do conventional speed pulls. Sometimes I've been working those in on deficits for him. I do like deficit pulls for Doug because, again, the extra stretch on the hamstrings. Then, of course, we do safety bar good mornings. And again, notice he can't use a lot of weight on these still. Again, this has been a thing. We've always had to nurse that history of hamstring issues. And it's just been a slow, steady process of building that up. He's pulled like 480 since then, and I know people are like, with Woody benches and squats, it should be higher. It should. But we also have a lifter, with that history of those specific injuries. And so we have to build those areas up slowly and carefully. And given time, year after year, I think he'll consistently put, 20, 30 pounds on his deadlift every year for a little while. As we just slowly bring that up and continue to build that tendon health up, build the hamstrings, build the low back. Of course, he has his reverse hyperextension, which helps with that also. And I think between these tools, it puts us in a good position there to just continue to build all that soft tissue up that he needs to support everything. And he'll eventually be pulling like 550, right? It's going to take a couple more years, but it'll happen. I feel like it's doable for him. And, but again, given those weaknesses, given his leverages, he may not ever be an amazing deadlifter. He'll probably bench 400 pounds one day. If I can get him to gain enough weight, he'll bench 400. But, even then, that's going to be, we're always fighting against his appetite versus energy turnover. It's always going to be a fight there. And it's just stuff we work with. And again, it's because he doesn't want to eat a bunch of fat and junk to get there. And I don't blame him. Our health matters. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.